Hello, hello, and welcome back to another episode of Co-Parent Diaries. If you're watching on Spotify or YouTube right now, you can see that I'm an absolute mess. And it's because it's been a week and a bit. It's been a week and a bit. We have had most of our schedule thrown out of whack due to all sorts of different reasons. And that's why I thought today it was best to talk about when the schedule changes, how to stay calm in the chaos, because it's something I'm still learning. But as you can see, I had a shower, I'm fresh. I just didn't do my hair, didn't do my wake up makeup, and my wake up. I definitely woke up, and I'm just wearing like cleaning the house clothes because that's what I've just done. I've just finished work and I've spent an hour cleaning the house because it was chaos. And now I'm sitting to record this episode, and it is a hot day. Like in Perth, it's just gone from winter to summer, literally like that. And I record and I do all my TikToks and I do all my work from my bedroom. It is the only space in this small house that I have to set up some type of office. And once it gets to 2 o'clock in the afternoon in the summer, this becomes a sweatbox, and it is 2:02 and I am sweating. But if I close the curtains, you can't see me. Anyway, thanks for coming back. Thanks for listening. I am just going through the motions of like starting this podcast and it not being perfect. And I promise you, the ADHD in me doesn't even want to do this because I'm thinking, oh, if I make these episodes into TikTok trailers and reels, they don't look as aesthetic enough. I don't have a proper studio. No one's going to take me seriously. And I'm just trying to embrace it and just go, fuck it. It is what it is. This is all you're doing right now. And all I want to do is just get the message out and build this community. And I'm just not the aesthetic person to do it if that's what you're looking for. Anyway, let's kick off today's episode. Dealing with changes, dealing with changes in schedule. So we have a co-parenting schedule 50-50 Friday to Friday. It is like that, it doesn't change. And we did that because all of us are neurodivergent. Dad is a question mark on it. I think he is, but also never diagnosed and don't really want to poke that bear. And also, like, he is who he is. But I have ADHD. I have an ADHD child, I have another ADHD child, and an ASD child. I mean, I've got two. One has ASD and ADHD, one has ADHD. And we all deal with changes very differently. I currently need a structure and a routine. And I'm a bit of a planner and I have to schedule things in time blocks. Like I've just spent an hour cleaning the house. Now I could have cleaned, well, I say clean the house, cleaning the playroom and tidying up outside. I could have done that in small increments throughout the week and it would have been okay. But I can't do small increments anymore. I need to hyper focus for like a block of time. Anyway, the last couple of weeks, the routine has been thrown a little bit, and it's just of no one's fault, and it just is what it is. And I've struggled, to be quite honest, I've struggled with it. The kids haven't. The kids are great. They just adapt to this change so easily. Dad, I think, is absolutely fine. I struggle, and maybe it's because I'm the one that has to do most of the changes. I don't know, but I feel very overwhelmed today, very overwhelmed, very done, very overstimulated. When I pick the kids up, we're going to go and play at a friend's house, go jump in the pool, cool off, and then I just want to switch off for the whole weekend. But this is meant to be the start of my kid-free week, but I actually have the kids now till Monday because of some changes in routine. So let me explain. This past week, I've had the kids. It's my kid week. It is what it is. I got them last Friday. That is normal. However, the previous week when they were at dad's, I actually had our oldest daughter for 3 of those days because she was unwell. So she was unwell. She'd get dropped to my house and I would look after her while I was working, which meant I had to push back some work because I couldn't do some ads and some recording while she was in the house because she had a bad cough and she kept coughing. And I couldn't say, please don't cough for the next 5 minutes while I record this video. It's just not practical. Um, and it also meant that my time was a little bit split. Like I couldn't hyper focus on work for 6 hours like I usually would because I was having to attend to her needs, which you do. That's a thing as you are a parent, that's what you do. But it was not my normal week. And this week has been the same. I then had our other daughter off sick, and she was at home with me. She only went back to school yesterday, which was Thursday. So she had Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off. And again, couldn't do a lot of my work because I need like complete silence and I can't ask them to stop coughing. Yesterday, I took the day off because it was my daughter's school trip and she wanted me to go with her. And that was great. That was fun. But again, I lost a whole day of work. And we had some appointments that we don't usually have. And then this weekend, I've got the kids for an extra weekend. So there's a lot of changes going on. And one thing I think I haven't done, which I did do today, is just acknowledge the emotional toll that change and unexpected change has when it comes to routine. And I think as well, when you're a parent, it's not like you've got a couple of appointments for yourself and you've got to go and deal with them. When you've got things for the kids, it's like it's a bit extra emotional because you're having to manage and coordinate them and manage their emotions, but also do all of the stuff. And sometimes it can be a lot. Like I've got to the evening sometimes, wanted to watch an episode of Yellowstone, and I'm just like, oh God, I've just got to go to bed. I'm just knackered. So it's normal to feel emotional. It's normal to be frustrated. It's normal to feel overstimulated and out of whack. But what you need to do is learn to acknowledge it and learn how to, I guess, anticipate those changes. And that's just not something I did this week. With a lot of the work that I had on, I should have pushed it back and said, hey, I've got two sick kids. Until further notice, I cannot do this job. You know, with my freelance stuff, my full-time job, I could. And I'll be back to you when they're better. And they're better, but I now need a few days rest. And I didn't give myself that. I'm overworked and I'm about to crash out. When it comes to this weekend, though, so their dad asked me about a week and a half ago if I could have the kids for this weekend because he wants to go away fishing. He wanted to do a fishing competition with his partner and he could take the kids, but they probably wouldn't enjoy it. Now, I actually had a wedding on today and a party tomorrow, which I've cancelled to have the kids. And the reason why I did it was number one, they were sort of they weren't a huge deal. The wedding, I would have absolutely have loved to, and actually I could take the kids, it would be no biggie. But I'm at a point where probably being in a place where there's lots of people would probably crash me out even more. Um, and the party, it was a friend of mine's, but it's a birthday and the birthdays happen every year. It's no biggie. So I said to him, I'll have the kids, no problem. And actually, I'm quite excited to have them because I don't get time often on weekends where I've got my kids by myself because my partner has his kids at the same time and we're one big blended family. So excited, but it also means that like yeah, the routines change. My weekend where I would just switch off, go on hikes, you know, clean the house, do all the big things you can't really do when you've got two little kids around. They just need to be postponed. Now that I planned for. That was no biggie. I was ready for that. We've got a really exciting weekend planned that I'm ready for. But the sickness in the kids, having to have them a bit extra, not being able to do some of the work. Yep, that really threw me. When it comes to changes in your routine, I think it's really important to understand sometimes the most common reasons to change and understand whether you're someone who needs to have almost like a plan B or a different routine if that happens, or whether you're just someone who can go with the flow and it doesn't matter. You adapt to change a lot. For me now, learning this is the first time I've had to have the kids on his week when they're sick, and it's purely because he just ran out of days that he could take off. The kids have actually really struggled this winter and they've been off quite a bit, and it just so happens to always be on his weeks. I don't know why, it's just how it happens. And so he has taken quite a bit of time off this year to look after them, which again, I'm grateful for because when we were together, that would always have just fallen on me and I would have just had to juggle them. But this time he was like, I really need some help. And I was more than happy to do that. So looking back now, if this happens again, I am going to implement something with my freelance work and outside work where I say, hey, This has happened. My kids are unwell. I'm not sure how long they're going to take to get better. So until further notice, I'm just putting this project on pause and I will get right back to it when I can. And just keeping them in the loop. Now, in order to do that, if I've got current clients that I work with on a regular basis, I'm going to have to implement that as a clause into the contract. I don't. I work a lot of people. It's just one off and it comes in, I do it and it closes. So that's one thing that I am now going to implement to be able to help me deal with those kind of changes. Now, when it comes to the weekend stuff, I know what to do. I already made those changes in the plans, so that one's not too bad. When it comes to changes in the schedule and dealing with your co-parent, I think sometimes you need to acknowledge whether it's change that can be avoided and it's just like your co-parent is causing that change or you're causing that change, or whether it's just a case of life's happening and you're going to have to adapt to it. You know, the most common reasons are illness and emergencies with the kids, or even the parents. That's also a thing. Other things are like travel, family days, events, special occasions. One parent needing more flexibility with work is also another thing. Um, and also birthdays, Christmases, holidays. They're the most common reasons to change. And when dealing with your co-parent and when creating that, I guess, co-parenting blueprint, it's really important, I guess, to acknowledge some of those and let them know where there is flexibility and where there isn't flexibility. For example, um, if my if my kid's dad decided to change his job and he couldn't find a job that suited the hours that he currently has in his job and he needs to change them, it's something I acknowledge, but I've told him, you know, when we first started this 50-50 co-parenting and I got my job, I was like, hey, I've started a full-time job now, so I don't have as much flexibility as I used to just be able to help you out. If you have to change hours with work, we need to have a discussion. And it's probably likely that I could help you out a couple of mornings or a couple of afternoons a week on your time, but I couldn't do everyday pickup or everyday job drop off because I actually catch up on my work the weeks I don't have the kids. So it was almost anticipating that there was some change coming and setting some boundaries in that sense, I guess. So I hope all of this makes sense. I know my ADHD brain goes all over the place. The best way to move through these changes, to create your blueprint, to create your co-parenting structure is just communication, clear communication. I've learned when he tries to change things or things change, I need a day or so to process it, work out a plan, and then go back to him. If he rings me up and is like, hey, can you do this? Or texts me, like, for example, when he texted me and said, hey, can you have the kids an extra weekend? I straight away just wanted to reply, yeah, no problem, because I'm a people pleaser. But I've learned I need to just step back. I need to go look at my calendar. I need to speak to my partner to make sure that he hasn't booked anything in that then is going to have to be cancelled before I can make the decision. So communication is always so key. Being respectful to each other is key. If something pops up, something pops up. You know, it's just part of life. You're never going to have a co-parenting relationship where everything runs smoothly 24/7, um, and no changes ever put in. It's just never going to happen. The second thing is focus on the kids' needs over the inconvenience. Let's say, for example, this weekend, Dad wants to go away to do a fishing competition. Now, if he just wanted to go away fishing, I'd be like, no, go fishing on your own weekends. But it just happens to be a competition. It's a special date. They don't do it at any other time of the year. It's literally this one, and he's been the last 2 years. For me, I'm like, yeah, sure. Like it's no problem. That is something that you want to do, just so happens to fall on a kid weekend. Taking the kids with you will be an inconvenience for the children. It will be probably be an inconvenience for him too, but it'd be an inconvenience for the kids. And I think, you know what? The kids would love to be here with me over on the bank of a river sleeping in a swag for 2, 3 nights. I know what they're like. Also, I was like, I actually really want to hang out with the kids. So you know what, this is going to be a win-win for everybody. The other thing when you do need flexibility is understanding that sometimes like your co-parent doesn't have to agree to be flexible. It doesn't they don't have to do what you've asked them. So some grace with asking. If you ask with grace and it's met with understanding, then you're always going to come to a pretty good agreement or arrangement or whatever you decide to do. The other thing, finally, when you're asking for changes in anything, is try not to guilt trip, blame, or be like, well, I did this, I did that, well, I did this for you, I did that for you. Just use really clear and neutral language. Just really like, hey, I'm going to use another example. So, their dad actually has to have the kids for every Friday in October because I have a wedding on one Friday that I've got the kids. So I'll pick them up Saturday. And then I'm having my three teeth removed on another Friday. So I'm picking them up on the Saturday. And when I asked for the teeth, I texted him and said, hey, I've got to have three teeth out. And I don't think I'm going to be able to pick the kids up from school on this day. Is it possible that you're available to be able to collect them from school? I should be able to have them that night, but I might just have to keep you in the loop that day. I've never had teeth out before. And he replied, yep, no problem. Easy done. There was no like, hey, I'm having teeth out, so you have to have them because I've got nobody else. Because I mean, the reality was I had nobody else. My partner was picking me up from the hospital because you're not allowed to drive, but he can't pick me up from the hospital, which is an hour away, at the same time as picking my kids up from school because they're both at the same time. The next thing when it comes to changes in routine and changes in structure is just set boundaries while being flexible. Say yes when you can, but don't feel pressured to say yes when you can't. And that is, I'm taking that advice for myself. Their dad has actually asked me to have the kids twice before, one for I think it was a 21st birthday and once for a stag do. He asked me 2 days before those events, and I was like, no, I can't. I already have plans that I can't cancel. You've asked me too late. Those invites would have landed in your inbox weeks prior. Ask me then, and then I won't book anything in my calendar. But yeah, I was like, sorry, I just can't. And that's a boundary that I had to set. I said to him, I'll always help out if I can, but I can't if you give me 2 days' notice. I said to him, I plan my weeks a week ahead. I said, so use that as a rule of thumb. I have already planned things in, so you can't just then try and book me. Whereas with him, I know he doesn't plan anything until the day before. Not that that's an excuse to ask him late to help out. I actually ask as soon as I get an invite. So for example, the wedding that I've got coming up, I got that invite 6 months ago and I booked that in with him as soon as I got it. I was like, hey, this date, are you doing anything? He was like, no. I said, it's so and so's wedding. Please, could you have the kids? He was like, yeah, no problem. It's in, it's done. As much notice as possible. Another thing that we do is we have a shared calendar. So we use Family Wall app, and any changes or anything at all to do with the kids goes in that app, and we can see what is going on. I mean, we have the PE days for the kids in there, so we're both reminded of what day to send them in PE kit. When we go on holiday, when we take them away and where we're taking them, if they need to be picked up, if they're swimming, anything like that is in that shared calendar. And again, it's just so we're all on the same page. The final thing when you're creating boundaries is like define what's reasonable change and then what's someone just trying to create conflict or chaos or just someone being unorganized and it falling on you. There are some times where dad's called me and said, hey, I've got a hair appointment this afternoon. I completely forgot about it. Can you pick up the kids? And I'm not here. I'm nowhere near picking the kids up. And I'm like, sorry, no. Like that is something that you could have avoided with some planning. Like put it in your diary, have a look at it. Don't ask me last minute. I'm not here. I'm not going to drive all the way from where I am to go pick them up because you've scheduled things wrong. But again, sometimes he has also done that, and I've gone, yeah, I'm at home, I'm going to go pick them up. So maybe I create boundaries and then break them, which is not a great way to teach someone else to respect your boundaries. So take that one into account. Planning for the unexpected changes. So I'd love to talk on how to plan yourself, but as I've already explained, I don't do very well, and I'm currently learning that. But creating, I guess, spaces where you can ground yourself or ways to thrive in the chaos is important. I don't know how you do it, but I'm just going to tell you that it's probably important to have. However, having backups when things change. For example, I know two people who could pick my kids up from school who aren't their co-parent if an emergency happened. And they're the emergency contacts that I have with schools. If I have to call them, they know. Um, there's a bunch of other stuff as well that we have in place. But also, don't forget, you have to prepare the children for the change. So today, I sat down the kids this morning and I said, hey, today is Friday, it's changeover day. Daddy would normally be picking you up, but mummy's picking you up from school today because you still have three more sleeps at mummy's house. Is that all right? And they're completely fine with it. But it's important to let them know because particularly for our youngest, our autistic child, she does not like change, doesn't ch like change in routine. She's very structured, and things like that could cause a meltdown at pickup because you're not doing what in her head she's got herself ready for the day. So that's also really important. Finally, I think when it comes to co-parenting, as much as structure is important, boundaries are important, flexibility is also key. Being flexible with each other allows that space for you guys to, I guess, just drift and, I don't know, not be so rigid. I think of it as like a building. If there's a building that's just with thick foundations and straight lines and they've got no like wiggle room, and there's an earthquake and that whole building falls down. But the buildings that have been built with like a bit of flexibility don't fall and they just sort of stay there and they can withstand whatever is coming. They can withstand whatever earthquake comes along. I think that stands for co-parenting too. Have your stuff in place, but have the mindset of we also need to be flexible and we need to accept when our co-parent comes to us with changes, and we would hope that they also accept when we come to them with changes. If your co-parent comes to you with changes and you're not accepting of them, do you think they're going to be accepting when you need to make changes? Definitely not. So it does go both ways. And for me, why that's key is because I still want to be able to go through my life as peaceful and as stress-free as possible. And the only way I can do that is when I have that flexibility, but also when I have the confidence knowing that my co-parent also has my back in some of the things and I can rely on them. So I hope that helps. Dealing with change and I mean, even if you're not a co-parent, dealing with some changes in routine can be difficult. But I think when you have someone else to deal with, it can be particularly wild. I hope you liked that episode. Please, 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 if you have got this far, can you please leave a 5-star review on Spotify and a comment if you'd like. Don't forget to follow at the Co-Parent Diaries. And you can also follow me at Abundantly Lucy if you aren't already following. I'm excited to share again another topic next week. Thank you for joining me. All the best.